Hello there. Welcome to the Saroy channel, wherever you are in the world, and so much love to each and every one of you. For those of you that like to get to the juicy story where you have the straightforward Bigfoot encounter, well, I've got that for you on this channel right now. But the full stories are really worth listening to, and I've got them listed at the bottom, because really, just the Bigfoot encounter without the whole experience from the beginning to the middle and the end is really worth listening to. But if you just want to get to the juicy encounter that people have sent in to me, by all means, here are a few examples of them right now on my channel. So get straight into the business, shall we? And let's get started.
Suddenly in the valley we heard whooping sounds, but I did not even register or think about Bigfoot, not for a second. It was very odd. "How peculiar," said Liesl to me. "I wonder what those strange sounds were. They sound different to other animal sounds you usually hear." I did not give her comment any thought, I kid you not. The next morning Liesl and I did a little hiking through the wooded area, and right in the middle of the woods we came to a little clearing where there was a gorgeous little stream running through the woods, surrounded by a large, smooth, rocky outcrop, and the water ran through the area with a very swift current, so that the crashing sound of the water hitting the rocks furiously was unusually calming. Suddenly Liesl was getting very excited and asked me to shush, and she was beckoning me to follow her very silently. I followed her cautiously, knowing that she had seen something. "Be very quiet," she said, pointing to some rocks. "Look over there. Can you see it? It's a mother bear with two of her cubs. We must be very careful. They can be very protective over their young and get very dangerous and aggressive." Feeling a flurry of excitement because I absolutely love bears, and although we were carrying a rifle, bear spray and an air horn, I definitely did not want to be using any of these things today. We found a rocky outcrop that overlooked the back of the bear. I could tell it was a great deal bigger than the average black bear and was hazel in colour and not black. I studied the creature closely, and there were two bodies next to her, suckling her breasts, one on either side. But this was no bear. I looked again, and in my binoculars I could see the long hands and flat nail ridge, and I began to feel my heart beating violently in my chest, not in fear, but in utter awe and disbelief. How could this be possible? I was observing a mother Bigfoot with her twins. It didn't get better than this. "It's Bigfoot," I whispered to Liesl excitedly. "It's a mother Bigfoot with twins." Liesl and I kept fighting for the binoculars because we were so excited to observe these creatures, and the view we had on the mother was absolutely stupendous and amazing. Only I did wish with all my heart that she would just turn around, just so that I could see her face. Then suddenly, as if on cue, she did, and she appeared to be looking at a large pile of twigs that was lying on her side. And then I saw her in all her glory, and as I write this I am shaking with excitement as I relive that extraordinary memory of when I first laid my eyes on Bigfoot. The Bigfoot was colossal in size. She towered at about 8 feet tall, was about 700 pounds and 4.5 feet wide. From her head to her toes she was covered in a luxurious coat of long flowing hazel hair that in certain shafts of sunlight possessed a very glorious golden hue. This creature was utterly magnificent. She was majestic, lofty, powerful, and exceedingly agile. Her bullet-shaped head blended seamlessly onto her huge shoulders. I noticed her arms were very long, and her legs were slender and toned, but her whole body was taut with very powerful muscle definition, and there were no signs on her torso that she'd recently given birth, because her stomach muscles were clenched and very ripped. I could see that clearly because the hair on her stomach area was much less dense. Her face was beautiful with a joyful countenance, which I imagine was due to being a very proud mother. I noticed that her brown eyes were a rich cocoa colour, and they were expressive and humourful. The skin was a leathery texture and was a deep chocolate colour, and she had a very prominent brow ridge, flat nose, and very slender mouth. Her two little younglings were the cutest balls of fluff that you have ever seen in your entire life. They were utterly gorgeous and adorable, and believe me, they were as fluffy as well as exceedingly mischievous. I'm not sure how old they were, because they were very small in size, like 2-year-old toddlers, but they were both still suckling, and unlike human toddlers that fall over all the time, these small humanoids were exceedingly agile, walking almost perfectly on 2 feet, without encountering any problems at all, and appeared to have no fear of the gushing current of the stream. The mother kept grabbing twigs for her little toddlers, throwing them towards her younglings like you might throw a stick for a dog. Her little sprogs would catch them and bring them to their mothers, who would show them how to snap them. The little Bigfoots watched their mother snapping the twigs with wide, curious brown eyes that seemed almost too big for their angular faces. When she snapped the twig, they would try and copy her, and when they succeeded, they would make a happy whooping sound. Whoop! Whoop! It was like she was teaching them how to snap twigs, but I realized she was showing them different types of twigs from varying species of different trees. Her sprogs examined everything very closely. The unique twigs, the twigs were unique, some were harder to break than others, and the sprogs found this very interesting. She appeared to be chattering away to her younglings and teaching them about the twigs and the nature of the bark. It was incredible to watch, and I realized how privileged Liesl and I were to witness such an amazing scene. After their lessons, the younglings perched on their mother's torso and proceeded to drink a little more milk from her furry breasts, pressing them hungrily with their eager hands to extract as much milk as possible. Her beautiful younglings played together, probing the twigs themselves and choosing which ones to actually break. If they struggled to break a twig, they brought it back to their mother, who would show them how it was properly done, until they more or less got the hang of it. I do not know how long we watched the mother and her cubs, but it was for a very long time. Finally, she waded into the shallow water to refresh herself, with her cubs tottering beside her. We watched her splashing her dark leathery face with the water, and her 2 little cubs instinctively imitated their mother and began splashing their tiny, cute little faces, clearly delighting in the experience. Finally, Mother Bigfoot lifted up her 2 offspring and put each one on either side of her massive shoulders, where they sat very comfortably, and she literally glided away on her long legs with a seamless fluidity and grace unlike anything that I've ever seen before. It took me a long while to recover from what I'd actually seen. I could not believe the irony of all ironies. For so many years I'd spent copious amounts of money, tackled some of the most challenging terrain, overcome huge obstacles, and experienced all manner of arduous weather conditions, from snow, sleet to frozen rain, as well as all in hot pursuit of Bigfoot. And now, on an unlikely off-the-cuff chance weekend away that was never intentionally orchestrated in the first place, I had encountered a Mother Bigfoot with her twins, and this encounter was one that far surpassed my greatest expectations, because let's face it, this one was one heck of an encounter. Looking back, I realized one thing about these incredible creatures, and that is that they are experts at remaining hidden, and I think they'll only show themselves to you on their own terms, because I think they know when you're looking for them. Perhaps they have some mind-reading capabilities and can even read our intentions.
So there we are. That's the juicy bits of our stories tonight. I personally think you should go back and listen to the whole story because it makes it so much more exciting, because then you learn all about where it happened, the location, and all about the fabulous characters involved in the story. And that makes the story so much more gripping. But as I say, so go down to the description and then click on to the YouTube link, and then you will hear the whole story. Until next time, goodbye and good night.